the ship. They give you some moments to adjust. Then they do a physical just to make sure, this is for me, my experience. They make sure that my body's intact, make sure everything's functioning properly, and then we move forward into whatever needs to be taught or whatever interaction needs to happen on the ship. I've had apocalyptic visions shown to me. These are probably the most disturbing and most life-altering visions because the message comes across very directly that we're on this path and this is a potential future unless we do something about it. And when you begin to have this information seep into your body as a real knowledge, not as some sort of propaganda that's coming from some left-wing group, your life begins to take on a transformative change.
Welcome to the show, Michael, and how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Rob. It's nice to be on again.
So what's new in California?
It was traffic. Don't these people see, the light, it was a second. How could they have not seen it?
I wasn't asleep. I hadn't had a drink. Anything like that.
No, first of all, we believe you.
20 feet above the building was a football-shaped light about the size of a small truck.
I woke up the next morning with mud up to my waist, wondering what the hell happened.
Paranormal Experience. Call Rob McConnell now at 643-1290.
The sense of feeling I have with the beings is not a sense of fear anymore, not like it was in the beginning, and it's more a sense of familiarity for me, as though I have a relationship with them. There is deep love, deep respect that I feel comes from them towards me, and which in turn I have for them.
In each of the experiences that I have, whenever they first enter the room, I always experience a great sense of terror. And what I always have understood is that it's my responsibility to move past that. And the more I invest in that, the more I'm rewarded with knowledge.
Initially, the people are very traumatized, which is understandable, to be taken against your will into a strange environment, probed and poked, and it's not only traumatic in itself, but you can't tell anybody about it because they'll think you're weird, and it also isn't supposed to happen because our reality doesn't have any room for that, so they undergo what I call ontological shock, which means everything they thought was real is sort of shattered by this, and also it can happen again at any time. Their children may be involved, so there's many reasons for trauma. Yet, curiously, most of the people I work with will say, yeah, but there's something, I'm part of something here. I resent it, I'm angry, I'm enraged that they don't ask my permission, but I accept to be part of this process, and I think it is life-giving.
This is the X Zone at 643-1290.
How was there this mothership the size of a football field over Rockville Center, New York, and the neighbors didn't see it?
There's some interesting going on with triangular-type aircraft and some sort of strange UFO base being built underground.
I do feel it's close. Things are going to happen.
People who've had these experiences not unnaturally seek out others who've shared them.
Anybody home?
Oh,
hey.
yeah. Really good to see you.
Oh, you look great.
Spending time with experiencers is something that almost can't be defined with words. I've only had the opportunity to do it on a couple of relatively brief occasions, and there's an energy that's present that's absolutely indescribable. There's a sense of knowing, there's a sense of home, there's a sense of complete acceptance without any words. I was going to say, yeah, how long are you guys here?
Well, we've got today, and it's my birthday.
It's your birthday.
So,
Will you let me give you a free birthday drink, or do you not drink?
Oh, yeah, I drink.
Oh, I'll juice you up. I think about you guys all the time, but the biggest thing that I wanted to ask you was have you felt a quickening, or have you felt something change, the resonance change, like even since we've seen each other, even like in the past 3 months
It's coming together is what it's happening. I just feel like over time that the pieces are coming together. It's almost like they give you information and then it it becomes a part of your reality.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
and you're where
Permanently changed
it
by it.
permanently changes everything, and then they give you the next piece, and then the next piece, but only. You know, and it's just a matter of being patient,
Right.
you know. I mean, for myself, which has been a great big lesson. First time we met.
Patience.
Don't you say that to me again.
Again, one more person says that, I'm gonna just flip. Like
Male, female,
yeah,
unisex, or androgynous. That's the word. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So those are the ones that I do. And most of the spiritual stuff, or anytime I get shown anything of the world, or anytime I'm taught anything really major, it comes from interacting with them.
Yeah, mine comes from the robed beings and
the robed
Egyptians.
beings. What do you say the robed beings? Because maybe that's right.
They're like these. They have these robes.
Yeah.
But I never see their faces.
Oh, you don't see their faces.
No, but I don't know whether I don't see their faces because when I've seen them, they've been around me, and the light's been coming from behind them.
Right.
And so I see their form. The robes.
Right. But you can't see.
But I can't see, in there.
Yeah. You go around to tell somebody about that, and they go, "Well, have you ever seen, one of those gray beings? Are they green? And you go, "No,
no, that's not what we're talking about.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
And so you just
but
kind of have to sit quiet with it.
And, no, but
I'm to the point with it now where when people walk up to me, or if they find out through the grapevine that this is happening to me because I'm basically out of the closet. They'll say, "So what, were you like abducted once? Or like, did you see a being once?" And you start to go, "Oh," and there's this big sinking inside of you because you can't even, it seems like for me, I almost can't even begin to have a conversation about what it's about anymore because it...
You don't go sit down at the bar and say, "Hey, well, by the way, how were they last night?" I mean, you don't do that.
This is the X Zone at 643-1290.
Just something to chew on. Quotes from the Bible that they attempted hybrid breeding. That's Genesis 6:4. That these beings can look awful in the eyes of man. That's Judges 13:6-7. They abduct the inhabitants of the earth. Matthew 24:40-41. That they fly in their vehicles of light and great wind. That's Exodus 13:21-22. I've always believed that there was definitely a theological UFO connection. And my next guest is Barry Downing, Dr. Barry Downing. His book is entitled The Bible and the Flying Saucers. He's also a practicing minister. Doctor, welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
The main transition that we need to make now is to understand that what the biblical people called angels and what we now call aliens are the same reality. The biblical people did not think of technology the way we do. Advanced technology for them would be a chariot with a chariot wheel or something like that. They did not know about rockets or computers. So that if the pillar cloud by day and pillar of fire by night hovered over the Red Sea and used its propulsion power to split the waters, this would be simply miraculous to them, an act of God. They would not understand what's going on. When Elijah was taken up into the sky in a chariot of fire, they didn't know what they were looking at. They wouldn't call it a spaceship or a UFO. They called it a chariot that looked to be glowing or on fire. That's not bad, considering what their technology was. The Star of Bethlehem looked like a star. Many people today, when they see a UFO, are confused about whether or not they're seeing a star or a UFO. When Jesus was baptized, the New Testament reports that some strange object flew down above him, descending like a dove, and then apparently beamed him up inside and carried him away. The biblical people report that there were strange objects coming down and carrying people away, as we now report concerning UFO abductions. One of the better known abductees in the Bible is the Apostle Paul. He was opposed to Christianity at the beginning of the process and was on the way to Damascus, in fact, to put some Christians in jail. When a bright light hovered over him, he heard a voice speaking to him. And so I think that the evidence has grown that what we now call the modern UFO reality, the alien reality, and the angel reality are the same.
And, like many of their biblical predecessors, people who've had these experiences often find it difficult to admit to them.
When I first began having these experiences, number one, I didn't want to tell anybody. I mean, I woke up in the morning and I thought, Alita, hit the road. You know, I mean, I did not want to ever speak it. I knew how real it was, and yet for it to possibly be a part of my reality in my day-to-day life with my husband and my children, I didn't see how that could possibly happen. I did not understand the purpose. I didn't understand who these beings were. And at a certain point in time, and I don't know what made me shift or ask, but I just asked. I said, I need to understand. You know, I need to understand why you're here. And at the point that I asked for conscious interaction with them, I got it immediately. The next morning I got up and I realized my whole life had changed.
Dr. John Mack believes that by confronting these experiences as real, his patients can move beyond them.
All my training, sort of every cell in my body, every bit of my heart and soul goes into just being with these people as they relive the traumatic dimension of it. And when I can do that, which, you know, everything I've been trained to know how to do as a psychiatrist and more is required, just be with them, not shrink from it, not allow them to lapse into a victim position or just be too, oh, aren't those aliens terrible, but just hold the energy. The whole thing moves, it transforms. They'll see divine light, they'll feel a tremendous kind of transformational and spiritual opening, which will not happen unless you take them through this kind of dark night of the soul. So in that sense, it has some of the features of a kind of mystic's journey that starts out with a tremendously dark, hurtful, wounding kind of trauma. Now, it might be our particular contemporary dark night of the soul, because to reach us, we've reached a point of being so scientific and technologically minded that nothing can reach us unless it starts out in a physical, traumatic form. I mean, the mystics who believed in God or believed in Source could take their spiritual scotch neat, you know, but for us, who are so cut off from anything like spiritual experience, something has to have a shattering impact.
How can I live up to this experience, to be as big as this experience is? I'm not trying to fit this into my life, I'm trying to fit into it.
Vanilla cookies and the chocolate ones, because both kinds come in every box.
Girl Guide cookies, good cause, great cookies.
If you have a question or have had a paranormal experience, call Rob McConnell now.
There was 5 disc-shaped objects above the neighbor's house. I mean, they were like spaceships. We were just like frozen.
Regarding Area 51 being shut down and moved to a place called Green River.
I've never, ever been afraid on the streets of New York. This thing scared the life out of me. I was standing there trembling.
We're going to compare notes with what's happening way up north to what's happening way down here south on 1290 CJBK.
Perhaps the strangest claim, common to abduction accounts all over the world, is that the aliens are conducting sexual experiments, using abductees to create a hybrid species, part human, part alien.
The most consistent intrusive process has to do with sexual and reproductive activities, which involve putting some instrument over the penis of men, forcibly causing ejaculation or taking